welcome to October Red Interviews. Today we've got Nicholas Prempeh and Youssef Super Khoumari. Wow, welcome. I'm going to get straight into it. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Obviously, you've been previous guests, so I always take it as a nice compliment when people come back. It's like a restaurant. If the food's rubbish, you ain't coming back, are you?
Very true.
So I'll see that I've got that good food. We'll leave it there. Anyway, congratulations, Youssef, on an absolute fantastic win on the weekend. We're going to cover bits in the fight. Congratulations to yourself, Nick, and Team IQ for delivering such a fantastic fighter, an entertaining fighter for us to watch on TV. The only complaint that I've got, Youssef, is that it wasn't on the pay-per-view card.
Okay, I see. Do you know what? To be honest, I was just happy to box. You know, going into the fight. Obviously, you know, you're part of a big card. You want to be part of the pay-per-view. But, you know, in the current climate the world's in, I was just privileged to box. And not only box, but be part of pretty much the biggest event that's happened in the UK. Well, yeah, pretty much in the UK this year. So, you know, I was just happy to get out there and box and be part of such an event. You know, I enjoyed every moment of it. It was my first taste of the big time. And, you know, like you said, if the restaurant's good, you're going to keep wanting to go back. And I want to go back to the big time and stay there. Like Eddie said, this winner stays on.
Yeah. So talk to me about the lead up to it. I remember watching the presser, and I can only go from what I can see at home. So remember, it's always going to be one-sided. Even though it's live, it's still a one-sided view from the fans' point of view. I remember watching the presser, whether, you know, the final face-off, the weigh-in, etc. And I remember looking at it and thinking, wow, Kane's really the favourite going in here. You know, that he was, you know, oh yeah, if you win, you know, you're going to be fighting in the garden. And I was sat at home thinking, okay. I mean, you're up there, you're on the stage. You both of you sat either side of Eddie Hearn. Talk to me a little bit about that.
You know what? I didn't really notice it in the moment. But, you know, as the day went on and people were messaging me about it, I come to realize what Eddie said, and, you know, what the whole general opinion on it was. And it was that he was the favorite. I mean, I didn't have any problem with it because, you know, Kane's been on Matchroom 2-3 times before. They know him. And, you know, he's known for going in there and giving prospects like me, you know, hell, or run for their money. And, you know, a lot of the times he goes out there and he doesn't nick wins. He goes out there and he wins. Yeah. You know, if it's not a win, it's a close fight. I know the fight with Fiaz was argued. There was arguments here and there, but, you know, he's known for that. So I thought it was only right. You know, they've never really seen me before. They've only really heard of me. A lot of my career has been under the radar, so they probably didn't know what I could go out there and do. But what it did do to me is just motivate me just that little bit more. And, you know, light a fire in me that a little bit more to go out there and prove to everyone, you know, that, you know, I'm not here just to be like one of them other guys that Kane's going to come and take their, you know, I'm going to come in, I'm going to make a statement, I'm going to prove to all these guys I'm someone they're going to have to look at, and I'm someone that's going to kick the door down in the division and come and do big things. And I think the performance on the night and the fashion that we won in proved that to the people and proved that to everyone who had Kane as the favourite.
Yeah. Nick, you're sat there. Obviously, you're up there. You see your fighter on stage. What are your thoughts on it?
Do you know what? I think it worked well in our favour because we came in as unknown entities. Obviously, I know Super, Zav knows Super like the back of our hand, and we know what he can do on fight night and when he's firing. So yeah, you know, when you're in the bubble and, you know, you're hearing Kane's the favourite and you're listening to the different media outlets and they've got Kane out there as favourite, you know, it just sort of further motivated us in what we knew what we could do. And, you know, like Youssef said, Kane is an immense fighter. You know, he's gone in there and he's made it really difficult for guys before Youssef. You know, he's made it really difficult for them and taken their O's or you know, made it a really hard night's work for them. So, you know, when we was there, you know, it worked in our favor because it was pretty much switched on, and it just sort of further fueled, what we knew what we could do, and which was, Youssef to go out there and put on a classy performance like he did. And massive respect to Kane. The one thing I want to say is, is a really, classy individual and a really, really good boxer. And after the fight, he came up and was really humble in defeat. Some guys would not want to talk to you. Yeah.
Nice.
It was really humble in defeat, and gave us some really, really was really complimentary about Youssef and in there with him and things like that. But I think I had utmost respect for Youssef, during that week, just to be able to compose himself and go in there as the underdog, knowing that he had to go rip away something from Kane. He had to go and rip it away and then do it in a particular fashion. And for him to go and execute that, was the reason why we've always been, really, really confident of him and every other boxer in the IQ stable.
Yeah, a credit to you, Youssef. You showed tremendous professionalism is the word that I'll use. You were very cool, calm, and collected. And even though you were seen as the underdog, it shows a true test of character that you were still able to go in and perform the way you did. Talk to me about the fight. Talk to me that first bell goes and you getting into the first fight, the first jabs thrown. Talk to me about that.
No, leading up to the fight, I didn't want to be one of them guys that become, in a way, some people go onto big shows and they just freeze and they can't perform.
Yeah.
I always told myself from the moment the fight got announced that, regardless of the platform, regardless of the cameras, regardless of whatever, it's still a ring, me and my opponent and the referee. And, that can be in Gibraltar, at your call, as the car park, it's the same thing. It's a fight at the end of the day. So that's the mentality I had going in. And I treated the camp, I treated the whole thing as if it was just another fight. I remember getting in, I remember getting in the ring and the ring walk and that sort of thing. And I just kept telling myself, it's just another fight. I didn't want to add more pressure than that was onto me, by making myself think, there's people watching live at home. And I just said, I'm going to walk up them stairs for the ring walk and I'm just going to enjoy every moment of this event. I enjoyed the whole week throughout, and the end of it all was the fight. So I said, I'm going to go out there and just have some fun and enjoy the cameras instead of looking at them as pressure, looking at them as something I can enjoy, something I've worked towards for a long time. I remember the first ball, when the first ball went, I remember watching Kane's previous fights and a lot of guys give him a lot of respect, and he gets momentum of people that go backwards. He likes coming forward, he likes being the bully, he likes being aggressive. And, if you let him, he gains momentum and, the fights starts working towards in his favor. So I said, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to assert my dominance and, show him that, listen, I'm not going on. I'm not like these other guys. I'm going to stay right here. And, you're not going to bully me, basically. I'm the bully. I'm going to be the bully tonight. There's a new bully in town. You know what I mean? So I said, yeah, that's how it's going to be. First fight went really well. Nick and Zav had got me in the corner because I started too fast. But, I just think it's just eagerness to impress and eagerness to like I was the underdog going in. So it's just eagerness to prove everyone wrong. I started a bit too fast, but I think, the game plan worked well and the pressure worked well, and what we've been working on in the camp come off really well. I think the fight couldn't have gone any better in my eyes. And yeah, man, I'm just happy with my performance and happy that I got the stoppage and made the statement that I did on the night.
Talk to me about that then, Nick. Round one, he comes back into the corner. I want to know the combos that happened in that corner.
Do you know what? I think it was, like he said, a culmination of the moment and him being in there. But we also know Youssef really well. We know Super well, and if you don't pull Super back sometimes, he will go gung ho. And we just had to say to the look, just relax, just slow down, relax. What you're looking for will come. Just take your time, be patient. And we don't often shout in the corner. We're not often animated in the corner. But we were just mindful that Kane Baker's got a really good engine. And as Youssef started to slow down, then Kane would try and capitalize. So it was just more a sense of him coming back and just relaxing and and boxing behind that jab that we've been working on, and him executing what we thought what would happen is him breaking Kane down as the round's gone on. You know, Super's funny because he says that's the first time I think he's seen me and Zav get angry in the corner. But I think it was a sense of we know what Youssef can do. We know what he can do 100%. And like with any fighter, I think any fighter, you know, you're talking world level fighter, you know, even down to a prospect like Youssef, in a big fight, a fight where they know it can change their career, they're always going to start off, you know, really gung-ho in the first round. And, you know, Super's human. He's going to do the same things as every other boxer. And we just had to settle him down. And, you know, sort of just relax, just go back to what you're doing, go back behind that jab, and everything else you're looking for will open him up. And, you know, that's one of the things that's really good about Super is he listens to you in the corner, takes the information that you give him, and he goes out and executes it.
First coach Zav earlier, and he said the same thing. You're able to take in information, listen, and make adjustments more or less straight away, which shows great discipline, because not a lot of fighters can do that. They'll hear stuff, you see them go back into the corner, you see them getting the advice, but when they go back out, you can see that they haven't listened to the advice. So talk to us about your ability to be able to take that information in, absorb it, and do as you're told, essentially.
Do you know what? I think it comes from having trust in whoever's in your corner. You know, once, you know, if there's no trust between you and your coach or whoever's in the corner, it's not gonna go well. I think that's where people go wrong and start doing their own thing, is there's a lack of trust, you know. I mean, when I go back and sit down on the stool, or even during a fight, if I hear Nick and Zav's voice, and it's something that, you know, I've trained for a long time to, you know, in a big crowd or in an arena, I always listen out for Nick and Zav's voice. No matter what they say, I don't even have a thing where I think about whether I agree in it or not. I just do it. You know, the trust I have for them is so strong. You know, they can maybe even say something like spin around in the ring, and I might even do it because the trust is you know what I mean? The trust is there. I trust whatever they say in the corner, I'm gonna go out and do it. You know, it's funny though, because, you know, I'm around guys like Dillian and that, and they're saying maximum violence 24/7. Maybe is why I went out like that in the first round and tried to do a madness.
He did the same.
Yeah, he did the same, exactly. But, you know, like I said, you've got to stay disciplined and listen to the coaches in the corner, because in the end of the day, you know, from where they are in the ring, they may see something that the boxer can't see. And, you know, like I said, you've got to have the trust in them, and that, you know, they're going to give you the game plan and instructions to go out there and win the fight. And, you know, every time I've gone out there, every fight I've had with Nick and Zav, that's been the case. They've told me instructions, and whenever I follow the instructions, things start working out. You know, had I started too fast and that, who knows what could have happened. But I listened to them, I went back on my jab, and the stoppage came.
Yeah, they're the third eye, aren't they? They're the ones that can see what you can't. So the punches start landing. You're very slick in there. I want to talk about the boxing style that I've seen with you before, where you're comfortable. You are comfortable on those ropes. You're comfortable trading. What I saw on Saturday was not something I'd seen before from the fights that I've watched, which was somebody that took the center of the ring and used their jab, almost punch perfect. The timing that you throw the jab, it was a pleasure to watch. It was almost textbook. Talk to me about that. And I'm really trying not to sound like a fangirl or a fan, whatever you want to call it. But I like the intricacies. I like the detail in boxing. And what I saw was real good technical skill. So talk to me about that style that you adopted to obviously get you the win.
Do you know what? In my young days as an amateur, I'm talking about when I first started having my first amateur fights and going through the amateurs as a junior boxer. Maybe a lot of people that only follow my journey now, they don't know, they may not know, but I was a pressure fighter first. I was always a pressure fighter. When I first came to Zav and Nick, I was a pressure fighter.
Right.
And it's something that's always been in me. You know, my old coaches before used to have goals at me for having wars all the time. Literally every spar, every fight had to be a war. Like I remember, I think it was my second or third fight, I went into a tournament called the Mini Minors. I don't know if they still do it anymore. And I fought this tall traveler kid. And, you know, I was fighting way above the weight I should have fought for the time. And he was about 2 times my height. The first ball went, and the first thing I did, I ran straight at him, and we just had a war. It was the mad. If I find the DVD somewhere there, I need to rewatch it. But it's always been in me. I've always been a pressure fighter. But, you know, going to Zav and Nick, you know, they've showed me skills where I can box. So, you know, a lot of people seeing me boxing, working off the ropes, using my shoulder off the ropes, training on the ropes.
Yeah.
You know, these little skills that they've taught me. And I think what happened on Saturday is I merged everything together. You know, I think as a boxer, you can't have one game plan. You need to be able to do a range of things, because if you like to stay on the outside all the time, one day you're going to meet someone that's going to drag you on the inside.
Yeah.
So you need to know how to fight the inside. Or if you fight on the inside one time, one day you're going to fight someone that's not going to let you in. So you're going to need to know what to do. You need to have multiple game plans. So, you know, maybe now, because of what happened in my title fight, I want to go forward a bit more and bring back a little bit of the old me. I merge them together because, you know, like I said, you need to have more than one game plan. And, you know, it's a thing where I can do a lot of things in the ring. And the more challenging the opponents become, the more I think people will see me do whatever it is I need to do in the ring. You know, whether it's counter punching, going forward, having a war. I'm going to be having a lot of wars come soon anyway. But yeah, that's what I think it was, just a merge of what I used to do and, you know, what I've learned.
Well, that's growth. I like to see that. That's growth and development and coming into your own style, something that you're perfecting on your journey in boxing. I see Nick laughing when he's saying that there's plenty of wars ahead. Talk to me about that, Nick.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. When the fight was first announced, the first thing Super said is, "Coach, it's maximum violence." And I laughed. I laughed and I said, "We can't be maximum violence because, you know, our boxing career will become really, really short." And he said, "No, it's maximum violence. I'm not going backwards anymore." And it was interesting he said that, because we had a conversation not long after his title fight. You know, we watched it back and there were certain things we saw that we knew we needed to work on. But I think 2 things happened to Super since that fight is, A, he learned a lot from that about himself and as a boxer in terms of what he could do comfortably, as well as other things in his arsenal. But I think secondly, he developed a real hunger that he wanted to push himself and to develop himself further. I think going out to Portugal with Zav and Zillion was a massive thing for him, and we've done him wonders. But I also think having a camp, we had a really good camp. We had a good camp with quality sparring, a lot of boxing, and a lot of stuff we worked on. And like he said, he was a pressure fighter when he first came to us. So it wasn't about having to reteach him anything. It was just about finer details about him having to sort of tune and put into his arsenal to incorporate who he is now. And he talks about more wars that he wants to have. He says that the reason why I laugh is because he's always going to hear me say, "Yeah, all right, cool. Let's just be calculating about when we go to war in the fights." Because, you know, I guess as coaches,
strength.
Yeah, as coaches, you know, we're always trying to strategize and find ways in which, you know, to pick off your opponent and maximize your own ability. But Super has one thing that not many fighters have, and it's that desire and that will to be better. So when he tells you there's going to be more wars, more friendly fights, fight friendly fights for spectators and whatnot, he means it, because that's what he sees for himself and that's what he visions. And, you know, he's a sponge. From that Kane fight, I'm sure already, you know, I know I've watched it about 6 times, 10 times already. I'm sure he's watched a couple of times already. And, you know, we'll come back in and there'll be things that we'll look at and say, look, there are things here that you didn't do, you know, so well. He'll be critical of himself. And I think that's a good thing of a top fighter, is not just being happy with an excellent performance, because his performance on Saturday night was near enough punch perfect. And for someone who was boxing on a big stage, it is a lot of pressure. For him to go and produce a performance like that was a real statement. But he also knows there's more to come from him. So when he does say the wars, I laugh because I know he's going to go out there and try and replicate or do 10 times better than what he's already did on Saturday night. But, you know, Youssef has got about 15 other levels that people haven't seen. And, you know, in camp, what he did on Saturday night was something he's been doing for the last 10, 12 weeks consistently.
So talk to us about your strategy then, Youssef. You've watched Kane's fights. So how did you guys as a team, and I will pass it back to Nick as well, build a strategy on how to beat Kane? I'll be one of these that I sat there, I've watched Kane Baker's fights, I've watched your fight, and I was one of them that sat there and went, this is 50-50. This is going to be a slugfest. This is going to be a good fight. So talk to me about your strategy and how you plan to beat him without giving away household secrets. I understand that, but
Nah, do you know what? Having watching Kane before, obviously, you know, I watched him throughout fight camp.
yes,
I know he fought twice in fight camp. And, you know, you hear a bit about him around the circuit. You know, he was Midlands champion and he's fought for some titles before. You know, a lot of people were telling me he's very durable, he's very tough. And the one thing people kept repeating, he's very fit. You know, he's very fit. But having what, he always comes in amazing condition, and you know, he's just an amazing athlete that always comes in tip-top shape. You know, we even saw it in his fight that he won, his recent one, the one before me, where he came in 2 weeks' notice and took it to the prospect. I forgot his name, and took his oath. Tony Bellu's guy, Spear, something Spear.
Yeah, Spear, yeah.
Meshack Spear, yeah. So I saw that fight, and you know, just watching him, you know, like I said earlier on, you know, he's the bully in 99% of these fights. You know, he comes out, he puts the pressure on, and a lot of these guys crumble underneath the pressure. They can't seem to deal with it. But one thing I never saw anyone do is go on the front foot against him and try to meet him in the middle or push him back. You know, everyone sees him being the pressure fighter and say, okay, you know, automatically they just say, oh, we've got a box and move off. Hold on a second, no one's gone in there and had to go with him and see what happens. So, you know, I said to myself, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to meet him in the middle, I'm going to try to be the aggressor and let's see what happens, because can he fight going backwards? Can he stand in? What is he like when he fights someone that isn't going to move? So that was my whole thinking behind what I did on Saturday night. I think it worked pretty well because, you know, going backwards sometimes too much against someone who's so used to going forward, you give them momentum and you give them confidence. Their confidence builds as the fight goes on. And, you know, I didn't want that to happen. You know, I wanted to stay there and show him, you know, listen, I'm not going nowhere. We're going to fight. And I know Kane is a tough guy, you know, tougher than the most guys you meet. So, but I said, you know what, I'm going to stay there and we're going to fight. On top of that as well, you know, the fans get to see a fight that's entertaining to them. They're not going to see someone run corner to corner, etc. So, yeah, I just wanted to stay there and see what happens, see how he reacts to someone staying right in front of him, and give the fans a fan-friendly fight. And that was my whole thinking behind it.
Well, your thinking works because it was a very fan-friendly fight. I was not sat on top of the TV, but I was nearly on top of the TV because you just couldn't take your eyes off it. We saw some very good movement from you in there. One of the things that you did do that I was really impressed with is you never let him get into a rhythm. You'd throw a backhand and then you'd throw a hook straight away. You wouldn't do the 1, 2, 3. Your combinations were slightly unpredictable, which would put him off balance, like not off balance as in off balance, but anticipating what you're going to do next was awkward, which then assisted your timing. I really liked the style of fight that you brought to us on Saturday. It was really entertaining and a lovely boxing match, absolute lovely boxing match for the fans. Nick, we talk about strategies. Tell us a little bit about what the team had planned, because you guys seem to be one of the most honest people that I speak to. If sometimes I'll speak to people, I don't watch my opponent's fights. Yeah. All I need to do is know what I'm doing. As long as I know what I'm doing, I'm all right. But you guys have blatantly said, we'll study. You guys have said, just because you've won on the weekend doesn't mean that we're not going to watch it back and look at improvements. So talk to us about that strategy then, Nick.
I think this camp was really different because we had Zav out in Portugal and we had me and Youssef here. Yeah. So from time to time, Zab would be phoning in on a video call, and we've got a camera set up, just trying to work as a team. But the strategy always was to utilize Super's strengths and take away Kane's strengths. And as a team, we had looked at several ways in which we could do that. And on the night, if that didn't work on the night, Super had three other strategies there that we could have used to try and pick apart Kane. I think when it comes to that fight in particular, we were well aware of Kane's strengths, and what we had to do was rip them away from him and play to ours. And we knew if you give him the ability to have rhythm or start getting momentum, you're going to quickly start feeling the pressure and start losing rounds, and that's not something that we wanted. So a lot of Super sparring, a lot of Super's training, a lot of stuff that we did was always told about him being the one going first, the one being on top, the one dictating the pace of a fight, hold the ring center and things like that. So we worked to our strengths as well as trying to nullify Kane's. And look, we're honest and open. We study boxing. We don't just study fighters that we're going to fight. We study boxing throughout. Anyone who will tell you Zab is forever locked up in his room watching boxing, I think for 20 hours or 24 hours of the day, whereas me and Youssef might watch it for a little bit less than that. But
just rely on Zab.
But when we come together, we have got different attributes that we blend together. But what we do is that we pick up our strengths. So Youssef will know. In particular, I will tell him in a round where he's dropping around, that you need to make sure that when it comes to this phase of the round, do particular things or whatnot. So when it came to Kane, it was no different. Kane was no different to any other camp. We treated it the same. Even though it was a fight of a big magnitude, Kane was just another obstacle that we had to get over to where we're going. So there was no special treatment. There was no extra conditioning or extra training, whatever it may be. We performed and acted in the same way in which we do for every other fight. And I think that's why, it all fell in place seamlessly. And, Youssef was able to dismantle Kane the way in which he did, because for us, it was another fight. And Kane was just another opponent that we just had to utilize all of our attributes to take away his. And that's what we did.
Yeah, we could see that. And there was one point when Youssef came back into the corner, and I don't know if this is a bit where your coaches had a go, but it was like, touch him first, show your class.
Yeah, that was a bit.
I think at that point, I think it was about round 3. I think Youssef had, given Kane, one or two really heavy shots, and Kane had sort of just had a little wobble, but still kept on coming forward. And I think in my head, and I think I said to Zav, this could be a long night because Kane don't look like he's going anywhere. I said, we really got to start touching him, but looking classy with it. And I think he came out to the corner. I think one of Kane's gum shield or something had come out.
Yeah.
And we just said to him, listen, feint him, touch him, and then show the class, bring the shots through after that. And then he just sort of, Youssef, when he's going to go do it, because he just nods his head. He just goes, yeah, okay. And then he just goes off. And from that point onwards, we knew it was coming. We knew that Super would be able to take him out of there. We had, myself and Super had our own predictions beforehand. We had particular rounds where we thought it would happen. But when it came, you can see from the joy in the corner how elated we was, because it's been a long year. It's been a long year, no boxing, nothing going on. But to work in the current climate that we're working in, under COVID and, not being together as a team and stuff like that, for it to come together seamlessly, that's how much it meant to us in the corner. And you could see, we were over the moon with the victory.
As I'm sure your fans were as well. I obviously follow the both of you on social media, and Super put is what is it? It's not a good day to be a Super hater. Or is it a good? What did you put?
I said Do you know what? It was all early hours in the morning when I did that. You know, I can't.
Right,
I think I said something along the lines of that. I said, "Yeah, what a terrible day to be a super hater, or something like that." Yeah, something along the lines of that, man. Yeah, just trying to wind up the haters a little bit, you know.
It's that feeling of, you know, like you said, you come in the underdog, and then you win in it was a stoppage, because I could see it. You guys, I don't know, you're in it, but I could see you breaking him down round by round. I saw the reddening in his face. The gum shield was coming out. You know, there's nobody knows why that is. Poor fitting from the shots that you were giving him, mouth open. Maybe he was breathing. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not that in that boxing world to understand that, but I saw you break him down round by round until obviously you know that they just said no more. So congratulations on that. I mean, moving forward, what is next? October Red on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And don't forget, at October Red, we stay ready.